grief is a crazy element that if you don't get to it and come and embrace and say, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm going through, I need to look at it and say, I am here. Mama, I am broken. Mama, I lost my job. Mama, I am here and I can't even have energy to go through 1, 2, 3 to do 1, 2, 3, and just accept whatever communication you can do now, today, with people around you. Keep on doing it, because we just don't know. If I can appreciate you, if I have the moment and the chance to appreciate you, to thank you, to apologize, let me do it, because these are some of the things that people feel that really haunt them and break them down.
That the situation that you are in is not permanent. Today you could be grieving and tomorrow happiness could fill your house, happiness could fill your heart. So yes, take the first step. So good people, how are you? We are back with the journey, another different episode that is going to change and transform your life. And without wasting a lot of time, I want to introduce to you our guest today. You will love these guys. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you so much, Stella.
How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Yes.
Karibu sana kwa the journey. Tell us who Philip is. And why are we having you?
Wow.
This conversation in the first place.
You are having me at this particular time because it's a very sensitive time, not only in our country but around the world.
Yes.
A lot is happening. The pandemic that has brought a lot of changes, a lot of losses, a lot of pain. People are handling so much without knowing how to handle it.
Yes.
And that is why we are having this important conversation that normally people just shove somewhere down and just want to forget about it. People don't want to talk about loss, don't want to talk about pain, death, and grief. So today it's important that we have this conversation. Yes.
So who is Philip?
My name is Philip A.D. Otieno Omondi. Majina mangapi?
That's a lot. Anyway.
Yes, and I am a child of God. I'm a grief recovery specialist. I'm a minister of the gospel of Jesus. And I'm also into communications. And today I am glad that we're going to talk about grief and just uncover it and share with the audience what it is about grief recovery.
Awesome. I am so glad to have you. Like you mentioned, there's so much going around.
Yes.
We have Corona that just came, COVID-19.
Right.
From nowhere. People have lost jobs. What is happening? I mean, how do we deal with this? Many issues that are happening around the country.
One of the issues that we face is our misconception, misunderstanding, misinformation of grief. We have a lot of things that have been happening and bottling up over a period of time that it gets to a place where there's a breaking point, where there is the soul can't take anymore. And that is where we have situations where a man like that who has not known how to process or who has not understood that grief needs to be processed. The issues of life need to be processed. You get to a place you can't take it anymore, and without recourse, without a place you can go for help, people find it easy to just end it there. And it's a painful place to be. It's a really painful place to be, and just to see that happening. Yet on the flip side, we have resources, we have tools, we have means and ways whereby these issues can be handled. Men growing up, we always start to bottle things up. Girls from an early age. I mean, the girl cries around, and she's held. But a man will be told, hey, mana, mwanaume afanye nini? Mwanaume ali. Hata si bure, hali, mwanaume ali, be strong. Men don't cry. So exactly. So what does a man do? Men don't cry. You grow up with that information. You grow up with that notion, and you keep it. And every time you have an event, a painful event coming up, you find ways to just circumvent it. You don't want to deal with it. You man up. A woman will be easy, it will be easy for a lady to just find someone who she can talk to and open up. She has a group, people hata kama ni chama ama wapi, and they talk and they hug and and there's a relief that comes through that. Now for a man and for men, we have bottled things for a long time to a place where it's disastrous,
Okay.
and men need to review and rethink and unlearn some of these things that have been shoved down our throats.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now that we are mentioning all these things about grief,
Yes.
can we just begin by you explaining to us what is this grief? You know, when,
Wow.
when you mention grief, me, I think of crying. I think of losing someone.
Yes.
Is it just that, or is it beyond, or basically what is grief?
I will break that down. Normally, when we talk about grief, world over, people just associate grief with death,
Yes.
on a broader sense. But in essence, grief is the natural and normal response to a loss of any kind.
Yes.
It's a natural and normal
Yes.
response to a loss of any kind. Also, grief is the entire range of emotions that naturally occur in a human being after loss occurs.
Wait.
Yes.
Philip, explain to me like a little child.
Okay.
I want to understand.
Right.
When you say it is emotion, when you say it is natural,
Uh-huh.
when you say all these things, what do you mean? I want to understand. I am grieved
Yes,
today.
yes.
Does it mean now that I have lost, a very close relative, I am going through grief? Or explain to me in like a little child what this grief means.
Okay. Life happens, right?
Yes.
And in the course of life, the body, the system was wired by the Creator to process joy.
Yes.
And we all know how to be happy. We all know how to laugh. It's just so easy. Something like it's so, but something crazy happens in life. People don't know how to process
Bad things.
to process pain, to
Yes.
process grief. Why? Because somehow, I don't know how that came up, people have shunned from grief for a very long time. People look at it as a bad thing. People look at it as a sign of weakness, especially in the Christian circles. People look at it as something that even if, let's say we are somewhere and it's a matanga or a mazishi, someone cries, people in a sitting room, the person that cries anafanyiwa nini, anatolewa, anapelekwa huko nyuma, analia huko, anafungiwa. Okay, children are playing and child comes to mama crying, mama says, no, go to the room, enda kwa room. So what happens?
Yes.
People learn to grieve alone. People learn to grieve alone. People learn to just associate grief as something that people don't know how to handle.
Yes.
And why we call it natural, it's because that is something that the body, the system needs to take in and take out.
Yes.
Why is it normal? Because it will happen.
Yes.
And on a normal process, on a normal system, the body is wired to process it and to express it
Yes.
and to bring it out and to talk about it
Yes.
and to heal from it. But this happens when we do not get to that particular incident, that particular pain. It doesn't leave the system, it doesn't leave the body, doesn't leave the soul. It sits in there until you reach down to it and take it out by processing it. So grief has a way people say that time heals, or rather grief comes into you, and people have all these things that they put together that you may just overlook it and pass by it. But this is something about grief. It will sit in your heart.
Yes.
It will sit in your soul until you get there and look at it and process it out. So joy comes, and joy is powerful. It's powerful. It just runs through you and it goes through in an amazing way. But grief comes and we block it. So where you block it, it stays.
Yes.
And that is why we can go down memory lane and we will find things you thought you had, healed from, you thought you had gotten over, and when we touch them,
Yes.
some emotions come out, some pain comes out.
Yes.
And that is a significant pointer that, hey, this is something that is unresolved. It's sitting down in you, and it won't leave until you get to it
Yes.
and process it. So you asked me a question that I want to answer. How is it natural? How is it normal? So as a little child, this is what I can say, that loss happens.
Yes.
Pain comes. And death is just one of them. There are actually over 40 different losses, different kinds of losses
Yes.
that the human beings go through. We want to talk about, you talked about death, right?
Yes.
There's loss of trust,
Yes.
there's betrayal, there's even an end of an addiction is a loss to somebody. Financial losses, business losses,
Yes.
relationships coming to an end. You're talking about marital, separation, divorce. You're talking about, moving houses.
Yes.
You're talking about promotion.
Yes.
As soon as there is a change or an end to a pattern of behavior that was happening, when that pattern of behavior comes to an end,
Yes.
there's a range of emotions that tries to absorb that end, and that is when grief occurs. Now, grief as well is reaching out to someone who you know is there, or who you think is there, only to
Yes.
find out they're no longer there. It is just the shift, the change that comes when something that was a natural occurrence, a natural pattern, comes to a complete end, and now you are trying to adjust to live by that, to live through that, and these emotions that just run through you.
So can we say that any form of loss or anything that is bringing you stress, we know stress,
Yes.
like something so easy.
Yes.
But anything that is bringing you stress and depression, could we put it in, categorize it as grief, right?
Yes.
So today I'm in a relationship
Uh-huh.
and my boyfriend dumped me.
Yes.
And I am so sad. I have invested my time, everything in this relationship, and all of a sudden, he's somewhere with someone else.
Yes.
And I am in the house. I want to be in blankets.
Yes.
I don't want to be out of this blanket.
Yes.
Is that grief?
That is, now look at what I said, yeah? And let me comment. You have been with this person for a significant amount of time.
Yes.
You had a pattern that both of you had.
Yes.
Phone calls in the morning,
Yes.
walks here and there, that text that comes. Now, there's a pattern of behavior that comes to an end.
Yes.
Now, whatever pattern of behavior that comes to an end,
Yes.
like it's an end, it's a
That's
breakup.
grief.
Now, grief occurs at that particular time. And that is why you can't even explain, man. Me heartbreak, people can't understand heartbreak. Kwanini e power yote. I mean, you are like locked. You don't want to eat. You don't have appetite.
Yes.
I mean, they're just a myriad of symptoms
Yeah.
that come with grief.
Yes.
And probably I'm answering that ahead of time, but you can tell that, like you have said, like we're withdrawing. You just want to be somewhere. You're locked up. You're just in blankets. You're crying.
Yes.
And some of the symptoms are not some of the telltale signs that we associate with grief, as loss of, energy, loss of appetite,
Yes.
concentration. Your concentration really goes down. There's numbness. There's a change in sleeping patterns.
Yes.
And you look at all these things, and we understand that we have to address this. So the different ways that people process, like let me ask you, now the breakup has happened, yeah?
Yes.
How do you handle it? For you, how have you been handling it?
You cry. You cry. You go somewhere and feel foolish and stupid.
What do you do in those moments?
You start, crying. You start either sleeping a lot or not sleeping at all. I love sleeping, so mostly I'll sleep the whole day without, getting out of the house. Such things. Maybe I will not even be interested to kula food. I'll feel like, but then it also depends, because I'll also pick up myself and say maybe the end of something is the beginning of God again. So maybe after some time, yes, I'll feel bad.
Yes.
Then the act of, I think what even brings, the sadness more is the fact that you're going to go back again, start building something. When you start having those thoughts and you're like, maybe for those of us that are born again, the comfort comes when you say everything that happens as a result. At the end of the day, you solve your issues and move on.
Well, now this is where the interesting twist comes in, right?
Yes.
I will get to that on different angles. One of the major issues we have with grief is that we intellectualize grief.
Yes.
And grief is not a mind issue, it's a heart issue.
Yes.
So when we have things like, hey, what did you just say? That there's something you say.
God,
Yes.
That that everything happens with a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. That is trying to settle a dissonance in your mind, a dissonance in your spirit.
Is it denial?
I don't want to say it's denial. It is finding something to intellectualize
Yes.
what should be actually processed by the heart. And like I said, it is not a mind problem.
Yes.
It is a heart problem.
heart.
So what we do with such statements, we just like find ways to just let the mind navigate this without really getting to the, like, okay, just, it's like going somewhere and buying something, and you're like, you see it on a cheaper place, and you just try to, you feel bad, but again, you want to find something to justify so that you kind of level the dissonance. So what happens is that people intellectualize what they're going through.
Yes.
Instead of processing it. And you asked if that is grief as well. Definitely, it's a deep sense of grief. And it should be embraced and it should be allowed and it should be looked at as normal
Yes.
and natural. What you're feeling at that moment.
Yes.
We are trained to run away from it. We are trained to change how we feel. All right? We are not just trained to say, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and it's okay for me to feel this and to look at it and to process what I'm going through, rather than finding things and scapegoats and just routes of escape that will make us just try and avoid this very dark place
Yes.
we are at.
Yes.
And it's important for us to just embrace
Yeah.
the loss that comes and allow ourselves to heal from it.
Now, before we go there,
Yes.
is there a process of grief?
Well, is there a process of grief?
Does it happen from? Does it?
Are you
graduate-
asking stages?
Does it graduate? Yes. Are there stages of grief? Does it graduate from one thing to another?
No,
You
no, it doesn't. There is one psychiatrist called Dr. Elizabeth Rose. She did a job on the stages, the stages that
Of grief, yes.
it's called that, but that is associated with people that have found out they have a terminal illness, a terminal case, and it's that process of dying. It's actually the stages of dying, whereby she starts with denial, and then anger, and then bargaining, and then depression,
Yes.
and then finally acceptance. Now, those are the stages, not of grief, but the stages of a dying person, whereby you're trying to come to terms with this terminal case, terminal illness that has been brought to your attention, and that's the fine, and those are the stages until finally someone accepts it and goes through it. So those are the stages. That was a good work on that, but counselors and psychologists as well, and people that deal with grief in other areas, have tried to bring that and impose it on grief. Yet in grief, there is literally, from our school of thought, from grief recovery, and from what we have learned and observed, there is literally no stage, no cut out formula or process whereby you say you go from this stage to this stage. No, grief is unique to everyone.
Yes.
Grief has an individualistic approach, and with the uniqueness and the individuality of different people tend to take it in and process it differently.
Yes.
So there is no cut out stage or process, but there is a cut out method of processing the entire range of naturally occurring human emotions
Yes.
that accompany loss. So that is literally what grief is. It's just the entire range of naturally occurring
Yes.
human emotions that accompany loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that you see, you are helping me get to the next step, because
Yes.
I am loving this conversation. So how do I know that I am grieving? Are there symptoms? Number one. Number two, could I be grieving as a person and I do not know?
All right.
Could I be experiencing grief and I do not know?
Definitely. In fact, the first time how I came across grief recovery was through the regional director, who is Geoffrey Kioko. And years ago, he just asked me to accompany him to help out and work with him as he was conducting some sessions in Nakuru. And I went, and in this huge congregation, he asked how many people are grieving. And I was like, come on, I mean, get out of here, man. I'm good, I'm sorted. But along the line, when I was, helping and working out and attending some of the sessions,
Yes.
when we were just, going and processing and going through the whole thing, I actually broke down when I got to, we do something called lost history graph
Yes.
in grief recovery. And lost history graph is you going back down the memory lane and trying to understand significant events that might have happened that left dents and left pain and left unresolved grief.
Yes.
So can you be grieving and you don't know? Definitely. You can be having a lot of things deep down here
Yes.
that aren't resolved, aren't touched, because when they happened, we wish them away, we reason them away, but you can never reason away grief. You can never just intellectualize it away. So what happens is, until you get to the bottom of it and say, hey, this thing is still here, I kid you not, we can go back and we will find things that are way back that your soul is just handling and bottling until it figures a place. That is why tunasikianga watu wanasemanga hii ni ugonjwa wa wazee. Why? Because grief imekaa ndani sana, imefika pahali now hypertension, blood pressure, and it's not real. It's not literally ugonjwa wa wazee. It's literally unresolved things that have been stored up and
Yes.
bottled up, and now the body is printing out a receipt, and this is like now the breakdown. And people do a lot to kind of bottle that grief,
Yes.
to kind of just is it like soothe it down. And that is why people drink. Some people drink.
Yeah.
Some people eat a lot. You're running from something. It's something deep inside, but you're running from it.
How do I know I am grieving?
Okay, we have general conditions or symptoms or telltale signs of grief. And one of them is loss of concentration.
Yes.
One of them is a change in eating patterns. Another one is numbness, a general sense of numbness, low energy. Energy patterns are changing. Another one is just like your heart and your mind constantly being in different places at the same time. So that is grief occurs that like your heart and mind are not synchronized, and one is dealing with one thing, one is dealing with another thing, and there's this general sense of loss. People describe depression as just a dark place that is full of like where energy is completely withdrawn and taken away.
Yes.
And the same happens to grievers, where they feel like they don't even have zeal or energy to do certain things, to
Yes.
step out, to do things, to look at life again, to embrace life again, to live again. So these are just like a few symptoms that you can tell, hey, I'm grieving, and I need to look at this and realize, hey, I'm going through one or two things here.
So these people that we find on the way,
Yes.
they are not doing prayer walks. They're actually talking alone, And you see, it's not that they're doing prayer walks. It's because they are talking alone.
Yes.
Or they're just sitting somewhere and they're just quiet. They're looking at one place, Is forgetfulness also one thing?
Very true.
You
Very
want
true
to
it
do
is.
this thing, you forget, and you start doing something else.
And that is the loss of concentration. So
all
it
that,
ties in together, because you literally are leaving one room, you're going to the next.
Yes.
You knew what you're going to do, but when you get there, you're like, okay, why am I here? You have to go sit down and just like think, what was it? At one point, I was going through grief. I literally forgot my SIM pin. Like I switched off my phone, turning it. I couldn't remember
The
I couldn't
password.
remember I couldn't remember it. I tried 2 attempts. I had 1 attempt left, and I had to go and sit down. And I was shocked at the power of what I was going through at that particular moment.
Yes.
That my mental faculties could not recollect a few things. So I had to sit down and just take time.
Yeah.
And allow myself to go through it, to process what I was going through.
Yeah.
Because I had this 1 attempt left before the SIM got blocked. And so I said, man, I'm grieving, man. I'm in pain.
We are amidst epidemic.
Yes,
There's corona.
yes,
People lost their jobs and they don't know how to, get out and start life again. Now, these are people that were employed. We have business people. The hotels were closed.
yes.
You were the owner of this, hotel. All of a sudden, you have nothing to go to your family. I mean, you have nothing to offer them, you have nothing to give them. And how do we solve grief? Or how do we, get to process? You've been talking about processing grief. So tell us, what is this processing? And how do you get into processing grief?
Okay, we get into processing grief by first understanding that there was a way we were brought up that had grief mystified, and there's a way it was taught to us, and there's a way we were trained to handle it, and so there are things about grief that we need to unlearn first, and some of these things, when you have false ideas, then you'll also have false feelings.
Yes.
When there is a misrepresentation of what is true, then what you are handling with that set of idea will also turn out to be untrue.
Yes.
So we have to come to the place of first understanding that we need to get to know that, one, it's natural. One, two, it's normal. It's natural and normal.
It's normal.
It's natural and it's normal. No matter how spiritual, no matter how mighty you are. We look at Jesus. Look at Jesus, the Son of God, powerful, mighty. But there are moments he said, "My soul is sorrowful even unto death." He was going through these emotions and he was expressing them. In fact, one of the things that he said as part of his assignment, as written in the book of Isaiah, is that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to do one, two, and then he comes to say also to heal the brokenhearted.
Yes.
It was part of his assignment, part of his agenda. So how do we come to people that are going through these moments and they need to process what they're going through? First, we don't need to run away from it.
Yes.
We need to understand, people get busy, Actually, we ought to have looked at things people do when they're going through grief that they need to stop doing. One of the things that people do easily is, one, you want to get busy. You want to get busy so that your mind is taken from it.
Yes.
Two, you want to hide it. Three, you want to eat it away. You want to just find things that give you energy or something, or change how you feel. These things in general are called stubs. Stubs, as for short-term energy relieving behaviors. Short-term energy relieving behaviors.
Yes.
You are taking that drink. Someone is going through very difficult time. Niaje wase niaje tupatane wanaenda base. Guess what? Wanachapa.
Mpaka asubuhi.
Guess what? Asubuhi utamka, that thing is still there.
Yes.
It
Your
hasn't been
problems are
solved.
still where you left
And
them.
that is why it's a short-term energy relieving behavior.
Yes.
Weed has become something that people are using now, like it's on the rise, and they're trying to use it to numb these things, to numb these emotions. But you can never kid yourself out of grief. Grief is a crazy element that if you don't get to it and come and embrace and say, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm going through, I need to look at it and say, I am here. Mama, I am broken. Mama, I lost my job. Mama, I am here and I can't even have energy to go through 1, 2, 3, to do 1, 2, 3, and just accept.
Yes.
The first and foremost, there is a loss. Once we accept there is a loss, then we get the tools to handle grief. Some of the things that we look at when a loss occurs is in threefold. What could have been more? What could have been different? What could have been better? Any kind of a loss. Any kind of a loss. And we have to look at these three elements in totality. So how do you process grief? Good question. Now, in grief recovery, we have laid out tools. It is a method that gives practical tools that you can use. And some of this, we talk about them in depth when we are having the classes and the sessions and the seminars. And just one of them is having a general overview of what happened, from the beginning to the end. Admitting that there was an attachment, admitting that there was a place where either I fell short, either things didn't work out, and coming to terms and not running from that energy, that pain, and sitting and admitting that, one, this loss is taking a toll on me, and I need to address it. And by addressing it, I'm going to become vulnerable, I'm going to become honest, and I'm going to be truthful.
Yes. To yourself.
To yourself.
Yes.
To yourself.
Yes.
So whatever loss occurs, like you have your responsibility to it. So 99% could be the event, 1% is you, like how you respond to it, what you do with that. And so by coming to a place of just looking at it and allowing it to go through you and standing whilst you're going through it and talking it out and just not, like we said, we intellectualize it too much. We hide it. We hide it from the people we love. We don't want to see them. We don't want them to see us in this state. We are strong. We are powerful. We are great. But I'll tell you something about the preacher, call him King Solomon, son of the king. He say this in Ecclesiastes 7. He goes ahead and he says that it is better to be in a house of mourning than in a house where there is laughter and bliss. And now he comes again and he says, sorrow is better than laughter. Well, we are coming to that. And he says this, sorrow is better than laughter, for a sad countenance sharpens the heart. For out of a countenance that is sad, the heart becomes better. Ecclesiastes 7:3. What did he mean by a sad countenance makes the heart better? He meant that a sad countenance is a countenance that looks at what it's going through, that accepts what it's going through, that allows the grief to go through. And once you process that and let it go, the heart will become better. So how do we process it? By coming to terms and accepting and embracing it and talking about it and sharing about it.
Now, are there people who take less time to accept? Are there people who accept faster? Are there people who take much more time maybe to accept that?
If it's about acceptance, definitely. There are people that admit it. I mean, the people that constantly in life, they're in denial, you know, regardless of the situation. So if it's about acceptance, people take it differently. I mean, we have seen people that even, you know, when it comes to death, you're talking about job loss, which I'm coming to, but when we talk about even death, they are in denial of this person passed on, like this person is no longer with us. It's a painful place to be. So when it comes to job loss or any kind of loss, like you've asked, is there a time? Well, I don't want to say there's a set time or something. People do it differently, but most importantly is to understand that to understand the need of us coming to accept. Though the time might vary. The time might vary where people have, you know, depending again on how someone was brought up, on how someone understands grief, your culture, your socialization about grief. Because these socializations or these myths we grew up with, like grieve alone, like time heals, right? I mean, time doesn't literally heal. People think that time heals, but time doesn't heal. What time does, time clouds your mind, and once it does is that you have these other activities that have clouded your mind that take you from that very event or that very instance, but that thing is still there. So you are busy 1, 2, 3, your mind is not there, but at the end of the day you come home, it's still sitting there. It will sit there until you pick it up and unravel it.
Now you mentioned about accepting. You have mentioned now after I accept. I am supposed to go out there and speak about it. Who do I speak about it?
Okay, we have.
Who do I speak to?
It's just not about speaking, right? If you're looking for someone to speak to, you have to have significant people, significant relationships that you have. When you have to speak about it, people you trust, people that you know they have your back, people that you know that what you share with them, they keep it to heart. They have a confidence. They take it in confidence, and again, they're specialists. Like now, we've been having a team. We have a team of specialists in Kenya. Probably the number is growing, but we have specialists that now specialize.
Maybe counselors?
On grief, counselors as well. And now what happens is when it comes to grief, this really misunderstood subject that is crucial. I mean, it's very crucial in life. It's very crucial for us to understand that, hey, we have been running from this. I mean, we have seen this in churches most of the time. Look at it. What happens when someone loses someone they love? We have all this words that we give and we send to people. Like, I don't know if I can share this, but you just shared that you lost somebody
Yes.
recently.
Yes.
And you can tell me some of the words that you received from loved ones, from believers.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
It's not even written in full. In full, I mean, sorry. To be written, read. May God comfort you. I also do the same.
Exactly.
For some reason, I also write the same messages.
What else?
Someone who will go to an extent of asking, because it was an uncle, I mean, how close was he? There
Oh
are
my
people
God.
who want to understand that. And, God will comfort. I mean, those things that...
Have you heard of things like, okay, he's in a better place?
Yes, he's in a better place. It shall be well.
It shall be well.
Yes.
Have you heard of, we loved him, but God loved him more?
Several times.
And these are statements that, if I'll ever be successful in this, is to help believers know that some of these words that we use are not helpful in any way. Like when you say to somebody, when you tell someone that we loved him, but God loved him more,
Yes.
if a child hears that, what will a child automatically know is that if God loves you more, what does he do?
He takes you
He
out.
takes you. So already you're shaping the conception, the idea of God in this little child.
Yes.
So we have to find better ways, and we have to learn better ways of speaking to people that are going through loss. And some of the things, I mean, you don't have to find all this, is it politically correct words to say? Because, I mean, people don't mean them. I mean, people literally don't
Exactly.
mean them. It's just like,
Exactly.
I don't know what to say. And people literally don't know what to say. And so they end up with this intellectualized statements that at the end of the day, they even push you farther. You're like, yeah, don't feel bad,
How do we deal with people who are grieving? So my
Good one.
sister is grieving, my cousin is grieving, I mean, how they have lost, something, there's something that has changed in their life. How do we deal with them?
Good,
How do we support them?
good.
Yes.
One of the most important ways to help them is just being there for them.
Yes.
And being there is being present. Can you spare time and just be in their space with them
Yes.
if they're willing to have someone in their vicinity and hear them? Once you hear them and you're willing to listen with your heart, not listen with your head, and just absorb,
Yes.
just absorb them. Let them know that it's okay. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to have a hard moment. It's okay not to be okay at this particular time. And I'm here if you want someone to talk to. 2 is to anticipate their needs. Sometimes we want to ask, hey, but sometimes you can anticipate their needs. Know and imagine what need that could be coming on the way, and meeting that need even before asking, because sometimes you want to ask and they don't even have the energy to think of what needs to be done. So in as much as one, you're going to be present,
Yes.
you're going to anticipate their needs, let them know that it is okay. It is okay. It is okay. We normally have people grieving alone, but let them know that it's okay to be in my space.
Yes.
And you're vulnerable. You are feeling this, and I could be feeling something. I could be going through something on my own, but I just want you to know that I'm here. If you need anything,
Yeah.
please let me know. When we can't anticipate their needs, and when we anticipate needs and we find out that there is a gap, we can ask them. And again, let's take all this reasons and statements that don't help. Let's take it all away. And let's just know that, hey, it's okay. That's one of the most important ways, because they're going through something and this thing needs to go through them, okay? And they need to process it. But having somebody who understands, who is not judging where I'm at, who is not telling me that I shouldn't, who is not telling me statements like be strong. I mean, where do I get that energy right now? Just allow me to go through this, and once I'm through this, that strength will come. But just help me walk through this dark valley. So as you anticipate their needs, as you are present, as you find out what they really need, sometimes that's all you just need.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need to do for them, and just holding them when you can. Let them know that I am here and it's okay for you to go through this, and I'll do whatever I can in my power to be with you as much as I can until you come to a place where you can stand. And even after that, just keep on checking on them.
Okay.
Just keep on checking on them. Because what normally happens is when the event happens and there are these meetings, people are all around you. That once that is gone, people leave.
Yes.
And now you were in this cocoon, you're in this environment, you're in this dark room. And that is when they actually need people more. Because now this is when that very thing is settling deeply. This is when now the pattern has come to an end and there are constant triggers of the memory of this person. So what do? Is just let them know that I'm here. And if you can connect them to somebody that can walk with them, a specialist that can just help them process it, the better. But most importantly, what has really worked out is just being present, just be present, yeah.
Be present. Now, I am present. I know this person needs help. They need someone to listen to them. They need someone to just be there when they want to cry, when they want to hold, when you are just there. What are some of the ones I can't see? Of course, we have mentioned what conversation. So I am here. Someone is grieving. Yes, I have lost, awards.
Yeah.
We've talked about job. We've talked about death. Something is happening in my life.
Yes.
A broken relationship, a divorce, a broken marriage. What words do I use so that I don't make this person even grieve more?
One of the things, because we can never know what this person is feeling.
Yes.
We can never. You can lose the same person. Like, a family can lose a brother, an uncle, and then everyone in that family situation grieves differently because of the attachment, the level of connection, the intensity of love that they had with this person, and so it can never be uniform, right? So what are some of the words that we can tell?
Yes.
Because in as much as, yes, this is the same person, even if a family has lost, you cannot feel, you cannot know what this person is going through. So one of the safe words you can use is I can only imagine.
Yes. Oh, awesome.
I can only imagine what you're going through right now.
Yes.
And I'm really sorry for your loss. I can only imagine.
Yes.
Because you don't know.
Understand.
You can understand.
Yeah.
Guys can stop saying it is well just randomly because for lack of better words, people just write it as well.
Yes.
For lack of better words, say they're in a better place. And again, you're not grieving because this person has gone to a better place. You're grieving because something has come to an end.
Yes.
So allow them to go through that. We love them, but God loved them more. Like I said earlier, that shapes the idea of God, that He takes who He loves more.
Yes.
And so people are like, okay, so don't love me sana, nipende tu kidogo tu kama
Usinipitie.
mawimbi. So what are some of these things? In as much as people can lose a person in common, all the intensity of the emotions and their grief is different.
Yes.
So you can never know what someone is going through. You can never fully comprehend what they're feeling.
Yes.
So one of the ways or one of the words you can use is that I am sorry for your loss. I can only imagine what you're going through right now. And you use that. Because you don't get it.
Yes.
I can only imagine. All right? And so when we spend our time just being with this person and understanding that, one, no matter what I say, my words may not
make a change, or they cannot change the situation.
It's just knowing and bring it down to a simple place.
Yes.
As I honestly don't know what you're going through right
Yes.
now. I can only imagine. I am here and I'm sorry. Okay?
Awesome.
And once you get that down, you don't need, akunanga competition ama award ya mtu amesema ile kitu deep sana, hapana, ni kuwa tu real.
Yeah.
But we can avoid all this cliche, all this jargons that we use to just, intellectualize grief.
And there's something you had mentioned earlier.
Yes.
When someone is crying, allow them to cry.
Allow them to cry.
Right?
Allow them to cry.
Don't take them,
Don't msiwapeleke nyuma ya tent,
Exactly.
mwafungie kwa room ingine.
Uh-huh.
And then our tendency when someone is crying is to tap, like you're hugging someone and you're like just, oh, I'm sorry. And then you rub them. Now what you're doing with this, you are sending a subliminal message to the mind that stop, slow it down, stop, slow it down. If you're holding, just hold. Just let
Or
them hold.
don't pat.
Don't pat. Don't.
Just hold
This
them,
is
let them cry.
this is a signal somehow, subconsciously, to the like, hey, slow it down, stop.
I'm a victim.
Stop. But when someone goes through that and you know what they'll do?
Yes.
They'll just empty it. But when you do this, okay, you see that. So I know this is it's a very tough place, and we're just talking lightly because of all the need that is there. But people need to understand how to handle people that are going through grief, people that are grieving. We have to handle them better. We have to understand that, man, it's one of the most life-changing moments a person can ever come to, and that is when they need the right people, the right information to process it. Like I said earlier, false ideas bring out false feelings, and when you have false feelings, then you can't really get to the bottom of the thing and process it and bring healing.
There are people, when grieving, they want to talk.
Yes.
And talk a lot.
Yes.
So if they have lost someone in their life, is it okay that they talk so much about, is it a healing, is it also part of healing when they talk a lot about the thing they are grieving? So let's say, for example, you've lost someone, so start talking about the memories you had together. Even in relationship, does it heal when you start, remembering that time when you went for a holiday in Mombasa and it is gone? Is it part of healing, or is it dangerous when you are going through grief?
It's part of healing. And again, we have to be careful to balance it.
Yes.
Because we have to understand that this relationship had both positive sides and negative ends to it. And when we balance it, when we talk about both and bring it together, there is a significant sense of healing that will come. Because sometimes when you only talk about the good side, there's a sense of denial. When you talk again only about the bad side, there's also a denial. So when you only talk about and focus on the good side, now that is enshrinement. We call it enshrinement. When you talk about only the bad side or the evil things, that is bedevilment. But you have to just bring both ends together. And when you bring the both ends together, they kind of, I don't want to say cancel each other, but they kind of let you know that you were dealing with a complete person who had their own imperfections, but there were good moments and there were bad moments, and I've embraced them. And I have let go of painful moments. I'm letting go of painful moments. I am embracing the happy moments. And that comes again to the place of forgiving. Forgiveness, how we describe it, is letting go of the hope of a better yesterday. Just letting go of the hope of a better yesterday. That is forgiveness. Forgiveness is also ceasing any resentment towards an individual. Like when you no longer have feelings of resentment about a person, forgiveness happens. About a person who wronged you, who hurt you, and all that. So this talking helps, like I said, yes, talking helps.
Yes. Yeah. What's a place of God in grief?
Ooh, the place of God. My God. My God.
We grieve and hate God.
My God. Jesus.
We grieve and ask God, why me? Why did you take this person?
Let's come to the starting place about grief. Well, one thing I know about God and our pain is that He is concerned. He cares about every little thing we go through, every little thing that happens to us, every sense of pain, every sense of energy that goes through us. He knows it and He feels it. We look at Jesus. The Bible says that the chastisement of our peace was upon Him. He bore our grief and sorrows. He bore it. He took it upon Him. And even after taking it upon Him, chapter after that, Isaiah 53, we are in Isaiah 61, He says, He has anointed me to heal the brokenhearted. So He knows that pain will come. And He wants you to know that even in that moment that pain comes, He is with you. He loves you and He is for your healing. He is intentional about healing the brokenhearted. And we look at Jesus with the Samaritan woman. That is a very important example that we look at. And we focus on His story, his time with this lady, and he knows this woman so well because he is God. And this lady has had a crazy past. So he starts by asking for water. Hey, give me, I need some water. She's a Samaritan woman, Jesus is a Jew. And these two don't have a common place. They don't have a common ground. In fact, they are on polar ends. And this woman asks him, so you being a Jew, how is it that you're talking to me and you're asking me some water? I mean, how is it? How is this even conversation happening? Unaniongelesha aje yani umetoka nini unataka uko na motive nini uniambi, you know? So the conversation goes on. They end up talking about worship.
Yes.
They end up talking about time that comes when the worshippers worship in prayer and truth. But at the end of it all, Jesus knows what is pertinent to this woman. He knows what is really important and key, and he knows his past so well. So he asks this woman, "Please go call me your husband." And she says, "Dude, man, dude. Mbele hata ya nani hata nani mi sina.
Yes.
Sina sinani." This is like, yeah, you're right. You don't have a husband because the one you're having,
the one you have is not yours.
is not yours. You have had 5.
Yes.
And the one you have is not yours. So what did Jesus do at that particular moment? He knew there was pain in the first, there's pain in the second, pain in the third, pain in the fourth, and pain in the fifth. You've had 5, and the one you have
is not yours.
So you have been running away from something. You have been trying to process something. You have suffered neglect, abandonment, pain. And I am here to bring all that into a fruitful completion that is called healing. I've come to make you whole. I know about all that, and I'm interested to make you cross over now, that from now on, you're not going to run to men for your healing. You're not going to run to men for your approval, for your acceptance. I have accepted you. I have loved you, and I've come to heal all these broken places that these 5 men left in you. So we look at it and we're looking at even Jesus coming. Indeed, He is concerned. He is connected to our pain. He took it on the cross.
Yes.
And He has the healing, and He wants to walk with us through our pain. So His place is, He is the ever-present help in time of trouble. And as Christians, as believers, as people that believe in God, we always start with Him. We always start with Him. He is our first place in processing grief, praying about it, placing it before Him, admitting, acknowledging. And we look at David, a perfect example. I mean, he would talk, he would pour it out. He would talk and just pour his pain, pour his grief. You look at the Psalms, and it's an amazing book of how vulnerable a man that walked with God was, and how powerful his vulnerable moments have become to us, that they speak to us up until this moment.
I love that. Thank you so much. So, Philip, maybe why is there so much pain, like in death? There's this pain that cuts across, that you feel, why is it too much?
Something powerful about it is this, is that every time we feel that pain when death occurs, this is someone we loved, someone who was in our life, or even sometimes someone who was not in our life, but someone we knew, but I'll come to it. I mean, you saw how when Princess Diana died, years ago, I was alive at that time. I was here. We were here. Yeah, we had, people were so, around the world, people were grieved by that. Look at Magufuli. I know many people didn't know him, personally.
Nelson Mandela.
And the pain cut across the world. So how is it, especially now coming to us now, talking about, you talked about someone we love, about death.
Yeah, it actually comes closer to losing a spouse, to losing a child.
Yes, a relative.
Losing a parent,
a friend.
Someone that is even closer than,
Why it cuts is this, it's because of incompleteness. When a relationship is incomplete, the grief cuts really deep. And what is incompleteness? It is a series or a range or an accumulation of undelivered emotional communication towards someone we loved or someone who was significant. Incompleteness, again, is this undelivered, this range of undelivered emotional communication towards someone we loved. And that is how people grief because they felt like if I had spent more time, I mean, ever since, I mean, we met, I mean, ever since we started talking and having this, even before the interview, I mean, you have a nice, colorful, yellow, whatever, you know, and I didn't get the time to tell you, that looks good, you know, or you're smart, or you did this well, or a compliment. So if you can imagine in this time we've had together today, the things I've not spoken to you, how much more are there undelivered communications between people that spent a lifetime together, relatives that lived around each other, friends that knew each other for a long time. So one of the things that people deal with is undelivered communication. If only I told Peter, or if only I told Maxwell, if only I told, you know, all these names. Yes, if only I told Stella how much I appreciated her, how much her time meant for me, how much her sacrifice. If only I was more present and more available. So you find that there are things that people feel are incomplete. And these are things that people need to process and deal with and accept. There are forgives and apologies that people didn't make, and it just happens. So we have a lot of incompleteness around that, and that makes it really difficult for people to take it in and process because they will never have a chance to communicate these emotions to this person. And that is why whatever communication you can do now, today, with people around you, keep on doing it because we just don't know. If I can appreciate you, if I have the moment and the chance to appreciate you, to thank you, to apologize, let me do it. Because these are some of the things that people feel that really haunt them and break them down. Because sometimes the people that go and pass on, at some point they felt and loved. At some point we look back and we know that we could have done better, you know, and that really breaks us when we can no longer do it for them. So we have lived sometimes the life that just encompasses ourselves. But now we find that these things that we keep will later come to break us down. So we need to start doing them right now. So incompleteness is one of the things, and that is what we deal with in grief recovery. We help people come up with, we call them significant emotional statements. What are some of these significant emotional statements? We have apologies and we have forgiveness. So you have to forgive this person.
So if you have a chance to tell someone you love them, tell them now.
Tell them now.
Yes. If you have to ask for apology, do it now.
Do
that
it
you
now.
have the time.
Do it now.
Yes.
Do it now.
And you see, when you're having this conversation, I'm wondering, you know, no matter how much you are with this person, because you don't know when they are not going to be there.
Yes.
For some reason, you'll find maybe there's this incompleteness, this undone job. And maybe like you said, I think I appreciate the fact that you're saying, if you have there's someone who said, and even they keep saying it online and everywhere, you don't know the value of someone until they are no longer there. I think that is so painful.
It is.
And we need to appreciate each other at this particular time. So maybe Philip, I think I love this conversation, and there's someone who is watching us right now, and they are going through grief, and they are going through too much pain. What would you tell them? Maybe as you're parting short, you can speak to them through this camera.
Okay.
And, ask them and, encourage them. They're going through pain. They're going through stress. They're going through a lot of, things, loss in their life.
Yes.
What would your words of hope to them be, even as you finish this conversation?
Okay. Thanks for this. Life, in so many ways, has a lot of surprises sometimes. And some of this comes suddenly, unannounced. And they come with pain, they come with loss, and they come with a lot of grief. And you could be somewhere right now where you're going through some pain. I would love you to know that that pain is not going to be permanent. It's not going to be what defines the rest of your life. It's something that is going to come and pass through you. And after some time, when you have processed it, when you have accepted what is going on, healing is going to come. The maker of the heavens and the earth has guaranteed us and has granted us healing. He has granted us a place of solace and comfort. I want you to know that even when you are going through a tough emotional time, a tough moment in the season of grief, I want you to know that you will get on the other side and it shall be okay. So right now, do not fight the feelings that you have. Do not run away from them. Accept them. Let them go through you. Admit where you are. Be honest. Be truthful. Be vulnerable. And process and come to terms with the event. And once you do that, healing is going to start flowing step by step. Do not feel like you shouldn't cry. You shouldn't express those emotions. Feel free to express them. Be open to express them. And anytime you feel like you're surrounded by people that don't understand you, you are allowed to move to a place that you can fully express and process what you're going through. What else do I have to say to you? That a journey of 1,000 steps begin with one, and the start is what is important. And I assure you that you will get better. I assure you that healing will come. It just takes those simple, important steps to make you go to the other side. And I want you to know that grief is natural and it's normal. And so you shouldn't feel odd about it. And in case you need some help, you can always reach out. You can always reach out to the production, and we can always talk and share more about grief and the healing steps that you need to take. Thank you so much, Stella, for having me.
Thank you so much. And now that you mentioned about reaching you,
yes,
do you help people go through grief?
We do
counseling?
Yes, we do. We do.
You or as an organization?
I do it. We have other specialists that do it. The Grief Recovery Institute in Kenya was brought to us by Geoffrey Kioko. Then we have different specialists. We have been certified to hold sessions and seminars and classes that help people to process these things. And depending on the time and the seasons, we usually have classes almost every other month, every other 2 months, depending on who is conducting at another particular time. Yes. I was conducting a session before the lockdown and all that, so we had to take a break just to let everybody just sit down and take all the precautions that we need to do. So we do. Yeah.
Someone could be watching.
Yes.
They're wondering, how do I get to see Philip?
Okay.
Or how can I get help? I need someone to talk to. This pain is too much. Do you find you on Facebook? Do you have a phone number that someone can reach?
Yes, I have a phone number. It's 0746 734 732. 0746 734 732.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are so glad that you found time, and I have had this amazing conversation on grief, and thank you for your time.
Welcome.
Thank you for your wise one.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experiences with us.
Welcome.
And it's really informative, and we appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
So yes, people, thank you so much. I really hope that this conversation has been of importance to you. And we really appreciate that you found time to listen and to watch this. And like Philip just said, remember, you can always reach out. Look for someone that you can speak to about grief. Do not die alone. Do not struggle alone. There is always a way out. And there's one thing that he has just mentioned, that the situation that you are in is not permanent. Today you could be grieving, and tomorrow happiness could fill your house. Happiness could fill your heart. So yes, take the first step. Just take the first step. Accept that it is happening so that you can get help. Never be afraid to seek help whenever you want it. So thank you so much. We will see you in our next episode. Just remember to subscribe to our channel. You can share this information with a friend, and we'll be able to reach out to as many people as possible, even as we transform lives out there. God bless you, and see you.